Hey, beautiful soul, and welcome back to the Empaths Reclamation podcast. I'm your host, John Price III, and today we're getting clear, real, and do a little myth busting about something so many of us carry, don't always understand, and that is being an empath. Now, whether you've known this word for years or you've just started to realize you feel everything and maybe even just a little too much, you're in the right space. I'm here for you. Today's episode is absolutely for the ones who, like me, were called too sensitive, the ones who knew how their parents were feeling before they even walked into the room, the ones who walk into a crowded space and feel like they've just absorbed the energy of 15 other people without even knowing why. I see you. I've lived it. And we're going to unpack what it really means to be an empath and not just the fluffy online meme style, but the truth, our lived truth. And let's start with the basics of what being an empath is and what it isn't. Now, empathy is this ability to understand or feel what someone is experiencing from their point of view. It's human and it's natural. But being an empath, that is a little different. And how so? Being an empath means you don't just understand what someone feels, you often absorb it. You can experience it in your body, sometimes without permission, and oftentimes without even realizing that it's happening. For example, you might feel someone else's sadness like it's your own sadness. You might feel tension when you walk into a room and just feel that immediately, even if no one ever says a word. And just to be real clear, this is not a diagnosis. This is not a disorder. It's simply a doorway. I would say it's a doorway into deeper emotional intelligence, into your somatic or that body awareness, and to spiritual sensitivity, if we know how to work with it. Let's just take a brief pause and just breathe into that for a moment. Just inhale through your nose and exhale. Just acknowledge that you're not broken. You're just deeply wired to feel. So you've probably heard some of the common signs of what it's like of being an empath. You feel drained after being around people. You need a lot of alone time to reset. You absorb others' emotions. But let's go a little bit deeper. Here are some of those lesser known signs that you might be an empath. You're a peacekeeper, right? You'll avoid conflict even at the cost of your own truth. You feel that you're responsible to help maintain other people's moods. You might be highly affected by sounds, scents, or light. You've experienced maybe some digestive issues, chronic fatigue, or maybe even autoimmune responses from prolonged emotional overload. And you often feel everything all at once and struggle to know what's yours and what isn't. Can you relate to any of these? I know I've had many of these during my lifetime. So I'd like to pause here and invite you to a reflection prompt, right? This is something to come back to, write down in a journal, speak it out in voice notes, or just reflect on. Are you ready? Here it is. When did you first notice you could sense other people's emotions before they even spoke? And what was that like for you? And what did you do with that sensitivity? I'll say that one more time. When did you first notice you could sense other people's emotions before they even spoke? What was that like for you? And what did you do with that sensitivity? Again, I just invite you to journal on this or just have some internal reflection. Just think on that. There's a lot of myths floating around about empaths, and let's name a few of those most common ones, and then we'll just lovingly throw them out and acknowledge our own truths, right? So, myth number one is that empaths are weak or fragile. But the truth is, many of the strongest people I know are empaths because it takes this deep courage to feel that deeply, especially in a world that rewards and celebrates numbness. Myth number two is that empaths are always introverted. This is absolutely not true. You can be an empath and love being around people. You just might need a little more intentional recovery time afterwards. Myth number three, empaths are emotional dumping grounds, right? Being able to feel someone's pain doesn't mean you have to carry it, right? And that's not compassion. That's a form of martyrdom. And we're not here to do that anymore. All right. Myth number four, empaths are destined to be overwhelmed. And that's the big one. And it's absolutely a lie. As an empath, you are not meant to carry everything. Being an empath is an ability, not a burden, if you learn how to work with it. All right. Let's remember that again. Let's just lock that into our memories that you are not here to absorb everyone's energy. You're here to witness, you're here to feel, and to lead, all without losing yourself. One of the biggest challenges I hear from my clients and community is, why am I always so tired or anxious? And here's what I find to be the most common thing is that your nervous system might actually be working overtime. When you feel responsible for everyone's energy or you're in constant states of emotional hyper awareness, your body is going to respond as if you're in danger all the time. Right? And that's going to be those different modes of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And fawning especially, right? That's going to be the people pleasing, the caretaking, the trying to regulate everyone else around you just to feel safe. So being an empath, this isn't just emotional, it's also somatic. It affects our bodies, right? So if you are feeling tired frequently, or maybe it's all the time, just realize that it's not laziness. It's likely your body's way of just saying, I can't keep carrying this. And when you feel that way, that's your invitation to ground, right? To ground yourself, to create space for yourself, and to just lovingly give back whatever those feelings, those emotions, whatever that was never yours. We just get to give that back. So I want to invite you to just a little mini practice, right? And when you're doing this, please don't do this if you're driving, but always come back to this at any point in time where you can safely just close your eyes and place a hand on your belly or on your heart and inhale deeply through the nose, allowing your belly to almost expand like a balloon in a way, right? Because we want to really fill up our lungs. So you'll inhale deeply, exhale fully through the mouth, and just whisper to yourself, "This is mine, that is not." Right? And let yourself repeat that as often as needed until that separation of that emotion, that energy feels complete, right? Claiming what is yours and releasing what is not. So once again, you're just going to place a hand on your belly or your heart. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and just whisper to yourself, "This is mine, that is not. This is mine, that is not." Right? And just do that until you feel complete. And here's a big question. What if we started seeing our sensitivity as a strength and not a flaw? Right? You were made to feel, you were made to sense, to notice what others miss. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise because your sensitivity gives you this ability to create deep connection, to offer intuitive insights, to truly hold space in ways that no one else can. It gives you this ability to hear what isn't being said and to feel into that truth and beauty and soul in ways that the world desperately needs. You just need the tools, the support, the boundaries, right? When I say boundaries, I'm not talking about walls, but really those energetic structures. And that's what we're doing here together. Now, here's another reflection prompt, a little something again to journal about or just take that time and go inward and think about. What do you want to believe about your sensitivity now? If your sensitivity was a gift, what would it be here to teach you? And say that one more time. What do you want to believe about your sensitivity now? And if your sensitivity was a gift, what would it be here to teach you? And I would love to know what this brings up for you. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I know this path isn't always easy, but I do promise it is powerful. And just remember this, you are not alone. You are not too much. And you're absolutely not here to carry it all. You're here to learn how to stay soft and grounded, open yet protected, loving and sovereign. So let's keep doing this work together. And if this episode stirred something in you, please share it. Share it with your friends, family, fellow empaths. Please leave a review or reach out to me. You can DM me on Instagram at johnprice3rd.coaching. I always love to hear what's landing. All right. So until next time, just remember to stay rooted, stay tender, and stay radically yourself.